Let's talk about warm weather enrichment ideas for your dogs this summer. Now, I have tried all 7 of these with my dogs over the years. They love these, and it works really well for cooling them down while also having fun and getting those brains engaged. The first one is a little bit of the obvious one, and that is to take your dog out to play in the sprinkler or with a splash pad. So you're going to go out into your yard, you can set up your sprinkler, and you can kind of let them explore, let them figure it out. Go slowly at first. Some dogs will be a little bit frightened, but if you have them watch it first, let it turn on, let them see what's going on, and then you go over and play with it, have somebody else stay with your dog, or if you're in a fenced-in area, just let them explore at their will. You have the opportunity to teach them how to jump over it, how to splash on it, how to do all the fun things. And when they see you doing it, they will join in too in a lot of cases, and that really helps to cool them down. You can also hide toys near your sprinkler so that they have to dart in to get the toy and maybe miss the water or maybe catch the water, depending on what they are going to like and what their preferences are. So playing with a splash pad or some type of sprinkler or even just your hose is going to be a lot of fun for most dogs during the summer. Now, another one that my puppies loved last year was to get a kiddie pool out, and I would put things in a kiddie pool for them to play with. And you can go very basic or you can level up. And I've done them all with my dogs, very successful. So you can put rubber duckies in, you can put some of their toys in, you can put water toys in there as well, or dog toys that float. Those are all really great options when you're ready to level up a little bit, or if your dog needs a little extra encouragement to get those paws in the water. Try taking one of their bowls and freezing it, mostly freezing it in your freezer for a few minutes. About 20-30 minutes usually gives you a decent ice without it being too solid. And then freeze treats in there, toys in there, something in there that's going to get their attention. Take that bowl and set it in the water and let it float around. Then they have to dig at the bowl and then get the ice out and get the things out of the ice, and it really helps to level up the enrichment as your dog is growing. So you've got lots of fun options there. But that also brings us to our third option, which is to take a bowl and to put things inside of it and freeze it. Again, this can be treats, it can be food, it can be things like fruits and vegetables, like human treats that they're going to get. You can put some of their toys into it. So there's a lot of options for that, and you can do that on the inside of your house or outside if you don't want it to be too messy. Sometimes I'll take it out to my porch and allow them to do it out there. I'll have them do it in their crates. If you don't want your carpet or your hardwood getting too wet, because the ice will melt as they're chipping away at it, then maybe you want to do it in more of a secured location so that you are controlling where that is going to melt a little bit. But you can do it very easily. And again, we can start small and we can grow. So you can have it just a little icy, kind of slushy, make them kind of dig at it a little bit. And then as they get better at it, as they get older, as they have bigger teeth, now you can freeze it for longer. You can freeze more things in it. You can put more water in it. So when I started out with my puppies, it was just a very thin layer of ice. So then they could break that layer of ice and have kind of some slush beneath. And so when it started to kind of break down, I could come in and I could stir it up. So it was almost like a little ice slushy for my dogs. And they were able to then dig out different things. I actually started by putting ice cubes inside of the ice so that they could break that thin layer of ice and get the ice cubes out and then chomp on the ice cubes. But you can also do it with blueberries or strawberries or a piece of celery or whatever you want to enrich what they are doing, to make them think and be critical about how they're going to get that out. And the bigger things you put in there, the more opportunities they have for things. So you can do a lot, you can do a little, you can do toys, you can do their treats. There's so many opportunities for you to do this. And they also are drinking that water. So you're hydrating your dog as you are playing, and you're going to also cool down their bodies with the ice. And because I love doing things with ice in the summer to cool us and our pups down, one of the things that I really have fun doing is to take a bunch of ice cubes and put them in a bathtub. Now, you cannot do this in a shower, but you can do this in a bathtub, and you can kind of create like a little ice pit for your dog to dig in. So I discovered how fun this was when we had random hail and random snow at some point. We brought it in for my puppies to play with because it was not good weather outside, but they really wanted to play in the snow. And so then during the summer, I started bringing in ice, and I took as much ice as I could, or as little as you want. You can put a couple pieces in and just let them play with it. But the more ice you put in there, you have the ability to let them dig in it. So they can get in, they can really claw at it, they can play with it. If you want, you can hide their toys in it so they have to find it and dig those things out. There's a lot you can do with this. And I really like this because you can use this for the ice that you were just going to get rid of. So if your freezer makes ice for you, sometimes it kind of clumps up. You can take it, kind of break it apart, and put it inside of your bathtub as well. Or you can get a bag of ice or whatever you want to do, but it's really fun to allow them to play it. And because it's then in your bathtub, you are going to just allow that to kind of melt. Now, I do recommend that you just kind of let it melt instead of like pouring hot water on it because it can kind of mess with your pipes if you are doing it weird. So maybe do a little research before you do that if you haven't done it before, but just kind of letting it melt on its own is going to be a decent way for you to then dispose of it. Or if you want, you can just scoop it out and take it outside and throw it on the grass and the sun will melt it for you. So that's a really good opportunity for you to get rid of some of that clumped ice that you no longer need, or just to kind of move it out and refresh the ice inside of your freezer. Or you can just grab a bag. Those are cheap enough and it allows your dogs to have so much fun as they're playing in your bathtub in a contained space that's not going to get everything all wet. But I do recommend having a towel ready because they will be a little wet. It's kind of like coming in from playing in the snow. You know how they get a little wet when they do that? Same thing here. Their fur and their feet will probably be a little bit wet. You don't want that on your couch or on your carpet once they come out of playtime. Now, another easy one for you to do is to grab one of those water pool toys. So those like squishy balls that are meant to get all that water in it and throw it at people and kind of splash when it hits them. Get some of those toys and then take your dog out to the yard. Keep a bucket of water there. We are not using pool water for this. We're using normal water because your dog will be inhaling some of this and taking some of that into their little tummies, and we don't want chlorine and things in there. So have a bucket of water and just toss it at your dog. If your dog likes to play catch, they're gonna love this. If your dog doesn't, maybe go slow. Don't like chuck a ball of water at them. They might not like that, but just you could have it in your hand and squish it as you kind of fling it to them and it drips water off without it leaving your hand. So you've got options with this one, but have a bucket of water there so you can keep dunking it and play with it. My Lucy loves to catch, loves to play with toys, and loves her balls. And so this is going to be a really good one for us this summer because she's going to be able to catch this and have fun, and it's going to fly everywhere with the water. It's going to get her wet and cooled down, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I can keep taking that and dunking it back in. And because it's a pool toy, it's made to get wet. So when she gets her spit all over it, totally fine. Now, of course, we can't forget when it comes to your dogs, you do want to make sure you're exercising them. And going for walks is one of the most fun things you can do with your dog. But during the summer, you have to do it very early because we do not want it when the sun is coming up and it's too hot or the concrete that you're walking on burns their little feet. So the earlier in the morning you can do this, the better. And you're going to want to let them sniff around. Things are going to be very different early mornings than they are later in the day when they're used to going for their walks in cooler times of the year. So making sure that you are letting them kind of do a little sniffari, as we call it. Let them explore, let them do different things. You can practice your tricks and your training and all those things, but go for those early morning walks, especially as the sun is coming up. You're going to experience a lot of different things. You're going to see more birds out. You're going to hear more birds talking. You're going to see a lot of other things that they aren't used to, which is really enriching, especially as they get to explore those. So early morning walks. Now this one is especially fun because it involves another snack, but this one is a little bit different. This time we're not freezing it in ice. We are actually getting a full head of lettuce and we are taking your dog outside. I do not necessarily recommend doing this one inside unless they're in a crate that's easy to clean up because it does get a little messy, but you are going to give them this full head of lettuce and just let them figure it out. Don't tell them anything. Just let your dog figure it out. Sometimes they'll play with it. Sometimes they'll learn to unwrap it. Sometimes they'll learn to just take a chomp out of it. This is an opportunity for them to figure it out. But they also get to eat a healthy snack that is also going to help to hydrate them a little bit. So this is very, very fun to do. You just have to monitor your dog while you're doing it because you do not want them eating the entire head of lettuce. So monitor their intake and how much they're shredding around. Different size dogs will do different things. Different types of dogs will have different interactions with it. And you just want to make sure you're being a responsible pet parent watching them as they're doing this. Now, if you have multiple dogs like I do, what I do is I give them the head of lettuce one at a time and they're allowed to play with it for a few minutes. And then I take that dog and put them back inside and bring out the next dog and they get to work on the next couple layers. So I go through the head of lettuce by rotating my dogs in and out. Another thing that you can do if you don't want to waste an entire head of lettuce is to cut it into slices or into chunks. Now this does eliminate the ability to unwrap it because now you don't have those layers kind of folded in on each other, but they can still crunch it. They can still take chunks out of it. They can still kind of pull it apart and do all the confetti type things with it. It'll just be a different type of enrichment. So when I do this, and I don't do it often, I do space this out because that's a lot of lettuce to be getting for them if you're doing it all the time. But I am rotating how I'm doing it. So sometimes they get the full head of lettuce and they take turns. Sometimes they each get a chunk and that's all they're allowed. Sometimes I'll slice it up into smaller pieces and just let them kind of play with it and play with it like confetti, tear it apart, all those things so that it lasts a little bit longer. And sometimes I split it with them. So I will cut it so that I have some for a salad and they have some for playtime. And that way we're making the most out of our time and efforts with it because even with 3 dogs, they are not going to get through a full head of lettuce. I know going into it, this is money spent on enrichment time. They're not going to use all of it. I will be throwing some of it away, and I'm okay with that. So different times I'm doing it in different ways to make sure I am giving them different types of enrichment with them. I'm giving them different opportunities to learn and explore and figure out what they want to do with it, but I'm also using some of it for me because I love a good salad. And so, with that in mind, we are making sure we are giving our dogs lots of enrichment, lots of cool down time, and lots of ways to be hydrated during that summer months or those summer months because it's fun to play, but they can't be outside all day long in that extreme heat. Drop your summer enrichment ideas for dogs down below and follow along because all summer long I'm giving you even more enrichment ideas here on the channel. We have full playlists for enrichment and for travel and for teaching your dog to go in the car and do all the fun things. We're in summer mode here. I'm so excited for it. We've got lots of videos coming your way to help you level up for your pup and give them the best life possible as dog parent. And we will see you in our upcoming episodes helping you navigate the world of your dog parent life.